All right. Good morning. Good morning. It's gonna be a little bit different this morning. I know. Hopefully everybody got the message. We'll do a little bit of question and answer afterwards. But what I'm gonna do today is basically jump into a training I put together not too long ago. But based on current market conditions and all of the experts that I've talked to and all the predictions that I made last year, a couple of people reached back out to me and said, "Hey, you saw this coming. So what do you expect going on for next year?" I'm like, exactly what I said last year. It hasn't changed. I knew that when the buyer agency, whenever that fallout wrapped itself up, which happened to be August 17th, that it was going to be really difficult for buyer agents to be able to present themselves because, as I mentioned before, a lot of times people that do buyer agency, we had been told, and even the brokerage that I was one of their coaches, mentors, one of their higher ups, they told us to just stop worrying about getting the buyer agency agreement or the buyer rep agreement signed and just wait until the offer was made and we would slide it in with the rest of the paperwork. I knew then that we were in trouble because DOJ had just put out some information like 3 or 4 years earlier saying not to do stuff like that. They said, number one, that when listings went, as soon as you started marketing a listing, you had 24 hours to get it on the MLS. You could no longer do a coming soon campaign. They also said you have to show everything in the inventory that's available to that seller. You can't exclude certain things. And they said you have to stop telling people that your services are free. And that was back in like 2019, 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. So when the lawsuit happened, I wasn't surprised at all because we weren't doing that stuff. We were ignoring it. And so with all that being said, I was like, all right, let's figure out, what can we expect? And I started letting people know back then, number one, you got to go after listings, luxury, and without a question, new builds. So I'm always going to be in the new build arena because one of my tactics, and you'll see that in this training today, is to use new builds to get to your listing clients. And the reason that works is because one of the biggest issues that a lot of sellers have is where they're going to go. They may want to sell their house, but if they think about selling their house and they're thinking, well, I don't have anywhere to go, and they're not going to want to go like it was 3 years ago when everybody's saying, all right, there's 20 offers being made and no one's accepting them. So it's like no one wanted to do that. So it's like some of the marketing materials we put out back then, if you wanted listings, was, hey, thinking about selling your house, but not sure where you're going to end up moving to, then take a look at these off-market, pre-market, reduced price homes. And of course, everybody wants to see off-market, pre-market, and reduced price homes. It just so happens that fits the criteria of new build. So with all that being said, if you guys have comments, make sure you put them in the comment in the chat box. That way I won't forget them and we'll be able to reach out at the end and cover those questions. And of course, in addition to anything else that you have. But I just want to make sure that if you have questions while I'm going through it, that'll be an easy way for us not to forget. But I'm going to jump right into it. It shouldn't take more than 35, 40 minutes max. I'd probably be more like 20 to 25, and then we'll have 15 minutes to go over any questions and answers, because I'm sure there'll be quite a few. If not, then I'll just assume I did a really good job. All right, so let me get this up where I can read it. All right, so as you see there, 90 days to limitless listings, a 5-step game plan. So as you can see, it's, the whole this is basically an implementation guide. I'm going to record videos and add this to my Gumroad platform and eventually sell this. But for everyone on the team and people that are part of the mastermind, you're gonna get to see this up front and personal. So one of the main things I want people to understand is, like, you're gonna have to start dominating your market, which means learning how to farm. That's one of the biggest issues I've noticed. Like, farming for a lot of people seems to be like the hardest concept for people to understand. Yet if you talk to all the luxury agents, you talk to all the listing agents who started in this industry, they all learned how to farm first. And then they might have found a niche after farming that they were like, oh, okay, this works really good for me. But the farming is where it starts. And so I want people to start learning the farming concept first and foremost. Even in commercial real estate, when I was taught, it's like farming is where it's at. So it's not that the farming has to be, exactly the same for every person, but you need to understand the concept. And That way you're not relying on cold calling, open houses, or expensive online ads. Doesn't mean you're not going to do these things. It just means you won't have to rely on them anymore. One of the big things I want people to start doing is YouTube. So I'm going to show people, when you put all this together, we're looking at basically webinars and farming, and of course, virtual tours. So if you start thinking about your YouTube channel, you're going to set that as your baseline, because that's more of a long time strategy. But what do you do in the meantime? A lot of these strategies are going to be long term, except for, guess what? The one where you're marketing for leads through new builds. And that's why I want to go that way. Now, if you have your own listings, of course, you can substitute or add those in place of that. But this is basically a guide for everyone who's looking to simplify this entire process. First thing I'm going to go over is some of the mistakes that people get or make that hold us back. So the number one thing, and I think this is huge, that most people aren't really aware, that if you want to get away from that used car salesman type feel, you got to get to the place where you consider yourself a consultant. It's the whole concept of sales bothers people. And now that we're having to explain ourselves as far as buyer agents, that is scaring people out of the industry like you wouldn't believe. To actually have to be able to sell yourself as a buyer agent is the newest concept on the planet. And every listing agent knows this, because all the listing agents have had to do their listing presentation and sell themselves in front of clients every single time they do a presentation. Every listing presentation, they're selling themselves. They're showing the process that they're going to use, but they're selling themselves. They got to get that signature before they can do anything for a listing. Well, now it's the same for the buyers, and it's scaring buyers to death. They're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do, because I don't know how to sell myself. Well, if you talk more from a consultant standpoint than a salesperson, it's never that difficult. And I know the biggest thing that I do is just create a presentation. Anyone who's used my presentation, it's an educational tool, not only for your clients, but for yourself. And you should be updating that on a regular basis. So you have to reposition yourself as a consultant. And as you see there, it says focus on providing value and educating clients. That's why I say YouTube is a big deal, because if you want people to see what you do and how you do it, they first got to understand that you provide value by things that you've already recorded, that you're not responding to them directly. Because the more they see you with something that you did prior to meeting them, the more they realize it's legit. It's not something you're responding to like a salesperson would do, because you provided material for a lot of people that are going to go, oh, they've always been providing this value. They've always been sending out these home tours so we can take a look. They've already recorded content that shares with us what they're going to do for us as a seller agent. And then build trust. Again, video. I'm not can't say it enough, but video. It's basically how you're going to be able to give honest advice, again, that doesn't come across as salesy. And so you demonstrate that the client's best interest at heart by, again, number one, using the presentation, number two, having videos. This is all about know, like, and trust, and then engage your solution-oriented conversation. So at a certain point, if you haven't covered all the objections, you got to learn how to overcome objections. And there's some really good strategies and techniques out there, but my number one answer for overcoming objections is pretty simple. If you've already built the rapport, they already like you, you've already overcome those objections. Your objections should be overcome during the presentation. Your objections should be overcome during those videos recorded by the value that you've already added. And the number one thing I like to tell people is basically don't just follow up, but follow through. Everything you promised them, you want to make sure you actually offer to them and give them. If you don't, then it's your fault when that doesn't happen. So hopefully that makes sense. Mistake number two, poorly explaining the compensation. So many agents fail to clearly explain their commission. And as I said, this could be easily covered in your presentation. One day I'm just going to go over a buyer. One of my trainings starting in January is going to be just teaching agents how to do buyer and listing presentations. I haven't ever done that. Somebody made me think about it the other day. And I'm like, you know what? What I'm going to do is start getting in front of agents and showing them, if I was doing a home buyer seminar, what would it look like? If I was doing a home sellers workshop, what would it look like? You just get in front of people and do one. Because I think a lot of people are like, I'm not sure what the heck I would say or what I would do. Well, I'll show you what I do every time. And it's nothing more than what I do in front of a person by themselves. I just set up the slide so that it caters to a group of people. Instead of one-to-one, it's one-to-many. But that's basically what you have to do. And if you're part of what you're going to do is explain, guess what, how your commission works. It's now buyer agency. What do we do? Listing. What do we do as a listing agent? We have to get them to sign something. Part of it is neuro-linguistic programming. I make it pretty clear when I'm having a conversation with people, when you list with me, when you sign with me, this is what I'm going to do for you. When you sign with me. If you learn how to say the language the right way, there's going to be points where there's going to be like, okay, I'm ready to sign. You stop what you're doing, get them to sign. But early in the relationship, you clearly explain how compensation works, including who pays who and how much. That builds trust, of course, early. Like I always make sure when I'm on listing presentations, the very first thing I say is, I do the CMAs and I show them in net sheets, high and a low. I like to start with basically the iBuyer platform and say, hey, here's a number that if you need to sell it right away, because my first question is, do you have time to sell it, or can you wait a little while? They say we need to sell it right away. Or do you have time to sell it, or do you need to sell it right away? Well, we need to sell it right away. Okay. Well, iBuyers can maybe get this thing closed in 14 to 21 days, but here's what they're going to offer to get it sold quickly. And they're like, that'll work. Well, then you don't want to put it on the market because iBuyers can't do anything if you've have it on the market. But if they say no to that, then you go to the next one and you show them, hey, here's what you're going to get. This is what you're going to net, and here are my fees. But that's already included in the net sheet. So from the very beginning, they're not wondering what you're going to be doing and how you're going to get paid. Same thing on the buyer side. You got to be able to show them, hey, here's how I get paid. Here's who's going to pay me. I won't get too much into that today. We'll stick mostly with the listing stuff. Then you got to set expectations. Ensure that buyers and sellers understand the commission structure, how it factors into their transaction. Just what I was just saying. Clarify why they may not pay you directly, and sometimes they actually will. And then, of course, once again, you got to demonstrate your value. What do you bring to the table? This is why having a presentation is so important. This is why video is so important. So if you can share with them your value as far as your negotiating skills, handling paperwork, ensuring a smooth transaction, so clients know they're getting value from you. That's all part of the presentation. It's all about being able to explain what you do. And if you have a really good, solid presentation, it's going to do that for you. Now, the third mistake is difficulty converting leads into signed clients. Okay, I once again, and it's a very interesting process. It's understanding that you are in the business of sales. And I've already explained like what neuro-linguistic programming is. Again, the presentation and the videos make this easier. So if you haven't gotten anything about the theme from the mistakes, how do you get people to know, like, and trust you? Well, by having a good presentation and showing value through video. I'm going to take right off the bat, that's going to be the answer for almost all the next year. Of course, you're going to have nuances and learn different things to make that change and fit your build, your mold. But if nothing else, make sure you have a really good presentation and have a lot of videos that explain what you're doing. Following this checklist, we'll kind of share with you like what kind of stuff you need to be talking about. So for instance, focus on attracting organic seller leads through content, video marketing, referrals, community engagement. Like I want people to be community experts. So if you say, hey, I'm talking about the far west side, here's what's over in the far west side. There's a new theater that was just built. There's a mom and pop shop over here. There's Alamo Ranch. There's La Cantera. There's the area over by Petranco, and then outside of Petranco over where Castroville is. There's all these new things that are being built, and you want to start keeping people in the know about all those different things. But if you're recording those type of videos, you'll be in really good shape. Now, you have to develop a consistent follow-up system. Most people don't have one. And of course, you have to improve your appointment setting and sales presentation skills. That's the part, in my opinion, that most people just don't work on enough. They'll tell me that they need more leads, or I want video content, or I want scripts, or I want this, or I want that. And a lot of times it turns out to be excuses. I call these income producing activities. And if you really want to make money in this industry, you got to have more conversations. The conversations have to be your ability to set appointments. These are the key performance indicators, and your presentation skills to get people to sign the contracts. So as we track every single week, leads, appointments, signatures, they all lead to contracts. The A and the S are the two most important things. If you're looking for a single point of focus, getting contracts signed. And how do you do that? Practice presentations over and over and over again. So if someone's asking, what to do, I have a mini script in here. Someone says, well, once the leads come in, what are some of the things I could do? Okay, well, in some of these situations, this is what you might see. Hey, this is Julian Jackson with J Prime Realty Group at OPT. I noticed you expressed interest in selling. May I inquire if you were able to find everything you were seeking? Yes. Okay, no worries. Just a quick thought. When the time comes, it depends on what ads you were running, right? So if you're running, this is my response to people who I do new home build ads to. And they say, yeah, when they'll say, I'm good to go. But basically, you're going to say, when the time comes to purchase, what are you going to do? Well, will you be selling your current residence, or you plan to keep it? So that's a great question. They say, well, yes, but we're focused on securing our dream home first. Okay. A lot of times that's what you're going to hear. So great. No issue at all. We offer compensation or comprehensive 50-point CMA. And then you just let them know it's similar to an appraisal. Appraisals cost between $500 and $600, but we do a few of these every week, et cetera, et cetera. And then at that point, they're like, sure, I'll offer this to you for free. And then you can actually use the CMA to set the appointment. Hey, once they send it, hey, you call them on the phone again, say, hey, did you get the CMA? This is an estimate between this and this, in order for me to give you an exact number if you're actually interested in selling your home. And we can go through the entire process of helping you find a home, as well as putting this one on the market. And then you go through it. All right. And that's basically how that works. Now, the number one step, and I'm going to say this briefly because you guys probably heard me talk about this over and over and over. But the number one step, and why you actually want to do listings, is because you can take back your time if you get good at listings, especially if you automate the follow-up and you streamline certain tasks. So I'm going to talk about delegation and automation. Again, what are some of the income producing activities versus non-income producing activities? And when you delegate, step number one, take back your time by automating and streamlining. The first thing you want to do is delegate non-essential tasks. Hire an assistant. That's why I say transaction coordinator is number one, and then your marketing assistant or just an assistant in general is number two. From there, you might want to look at a buyer's agent, but that's the full team thing. I covered this in the training on You Are the CEO of Your Company. This is an org chart. It's all covered there. Then you want to automate your follow-ups. If your CRM isn't working for you, you're going to have to figure out how to make it work, get someone who can do it for you, have someone set it up. My best campaigns have been the short term, or 18 touches in 21 days, and then a monthly video or tools or resources that you send out on a monthly basis, and just stay in touch with people over time, because you want to get the low-hanging fruit in the beginning, and then you want to work with those folks immediately. And then the ones that may take some time, out of 100 leads, maybe 8 of them are going to actually buy a house in the next 2 years. 1 or 2 are going to need your help today. The rest are going to be over time. But if you got 8 people out of every 100 over 2 to 3 years, and every time you get 100 people, you pick up 1,200 leads at the end of the year, multiply that times 8, that's 72 potential homes you're going to sell. Or did I say, well, I'll just do the math later, but times 8, 96, I think. But with 96 homes over 3 years, think about that. That's over 30 homes, well, pretty close to 30 homes a year. And if you're thinking, okay, that's plenty, I'll do great. That's where those leads are coming from. And now how do you turn those folks also into referrals and follow? I mean, there's so much more business in there, but you got to have your follow-up in place. I think this is first and foremost. It's the very first thing you need to do so that everything else is easy. So many people skip this part. They don't have the long-term follow-up. They don't have the short-term follow-up. And then they're always wondering why they don't have business. Well, not only are you following up with your current leads, you're also following up with your past clients and all of your sphere of influence. We talked about that in the very beginning of the mastermind, but I want people to start really paying attention to it, because, as I said, this is step number one. Step number one. And then after automating, offer virtual consultations. You got to get used to the idea of inviting people to webinars where you can do home buying seminars, home seller workshops, and then from those workshops, invite them directly to a Zoom call. Now, identifying these high quality leads, seller leads that everybody's wanting to get, right? So I'm sure Tanya will agree with this, but why seller leads? Seller leads convert faster, and they have in the past really fast. Now people are having to wait, but either way, they're going to convert faster than most of the time, unless you're looking at someone who's ready to buy, they've been pre-approved before you met them, stuff like that. But most of the time, the seller's going to convert faster. They're less time consuming. And of course, you don't have to spend as much time working with them. The hours that you spend with buyers can sometimes wear you out. So the strategy I'm sharing with you is start focusing on listings now, because when the season changes in February and March timeframe, and you have leads to work with that are sellers and you get them on the market, yeah, you don't stop doing the buyer stuff because you want to meet your number. If your number's 20, then getting 20, half buyers, half sellers. Now, if you got 20 sellers, well, you're probably going to sell a couple of extra buyers on top of that, but you're probably only going to work with sellers. But in the meantime, it's a transition phase. Let's just get good at the listing side for now. Now, how to target seller leads. Everyone on this call already knows my favorite tool. And if you're not sure how this works, I'm going to talk a little bit about farming and a little bit about some of the other things that you could be doing if it's not working. If you're not able to figure out what to do, this is where the rubber meets the road right here. So it really does boil down to set up landing pages, targeting FSBO listings. That's, if you don't know how valuable FSBO listings can be, if this should be every single person's niche unless you already have one. Start with FSBOs. Reach out, find FSBOs. You can go to Remind, or correction, you go to RedX. You can go to LandVoice. There's a free software called FSBonanza. You go to these places and get all the FSBOs as they pop up and start offering to do home buyer, or correction, home seller workshops for FSBOs. You basically show them exactly what you do, just like you would do on a seller workshop, but you're just telling them, hey, I'm going to show you how to do it for yourself. You're going to overwhelm them with so much information at that workshop that they're going to go, there's no way I could do all this on my own. You're absolutely right. But here are all the tools if you need them. And all you're going to do is share your platform for, guess what? Listings to leads. They have a marketing presentation. I might be able to get into that today a little bit and kind of show you guys what that looks like. But you want to go through the FSBOs. And that's one of the strategies you're going to use. And your video script, you're going to talk about FSBOs. Follow the listings to leads marketing steps. Let's see if I have a link in here. All right, so if you didn't know this was part of your listings to leads package, this is it. You can literally put ads in Facebook, Google, wherever you run your ads, and it'll go to a landing page that looks like this. So I say market landing pages. There's so many landing pages you could market. This is the answer to pretty much everything. If you hear the term funnel over and over, this is where the funnel basically starts and ends. You get the ad run to a landing page, ads to landing pages, ads to landing pages. The landing pages collect the leads. The leads go to your follow-up system or to your phone, and you make the calls, set the appointments, get the signatures. That's all you're doing over and over again. So that's what the landing page looks like for FSBOs. And then this is some of the stuff you follow. Now, if you want to offer renovation services to these FSBOs during your presentation, you're like, hey, Curbio, renovation sales, all these places where they can pretty much fix up the home, do all the stuff that needs to be done for the home ahead of time, and then they pay for it during the closing. That's another way. What about another landing page? So a lot of people don't realize there's landing pages all over the place in listings to leads. So let's show you another one. What is your San Antonio home worth? All right, so what is your San Antonio home worth? This is what the landing page looks like there. If you go to this landing page again, you're doing the exact same thing. It's the start and the end of the funnel. The first part of the funnel is generating the leads. Once the lead says, clicks learn more and they want to go here, but you got to learn how to write the ads for Facebook, write the ads for, guess what? For Google. Or you can just use listening to leads. It does it all for you, right? It already has this stuff set up and ready to go. So you didn't have to think about the ads. You just use listings to leads and it's going to lead you to these pages, but you got to set up these landing pages. All right, and then once they click on this, you get the information. Now, if you follow this process, I would recommend that every one of these you set up for yourself, do it. Put an address in there and see what they give you. Listings to leads is incredible. They give you so much information on the home value report. I don't know where they pull it from, but it's really, really good information. And then there's extra steps in here. Cash buyers. So here's another source of leads. You got your home values, and guess what? We also have cash offers. You want to know another really good way to pick up leads immediately? Cash. Write an ad, and again, Listings to Leads already has the ad written for you. They've already tested it. They spend a lot of money running their ads, but these are the landing pages that they go to. Once they enter the address, it's going to set up, a chance for you to reach out to them. If you have an iBuyer platform, whether it's through Zoodealio with our brokerage, or if you use iBuyers through the platform that I share with everyone, I can't remember the name right now, but use that one, that iBuyer platform, or other ones that you find. But when you market for these leads, here's where the leads will go before you send them to those companies. And then you get the estimate for cash buyers. All right, what about avoiding foreclosure? So a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what any of that means, right? Well, I'm telling you, these landing pages are all in listings to leads. Now, again, I'm just going over the overview because there's going to be times when people want to reach out and find out how to do all this. I'll put together a training where I, like I said, put together videos and walk step by step. Right now, I just want everyone to see what's available to you. Do you owe more than your home is worth? Like, so when I was mentioning to people that there's a way to do foreclosures and there's a lot of liability if you make mistakes and you don't realize you're making these mistakes. But do you owe more than your home is worth? You may now have a better way out. Okay, I didn't come up with this language, but the people who did spend a lot of money to determine this was probably the best language out there. Can you come up with something better? Yeah, and guess what? This platform allows you to change the verbiage if you have something better. But again, you run the ads in Facebook, or just use the ones that Listings to Leads have. If you have better ones, you can use those. And then you run the landing page. The landing page collects the information. Once you get the information, you set the appointment, do the presentation. It's the same process over and over and over. And I've been teaching this for years. It's just people get so caught up in the leads. They get so caught up in the shiny object syndrome. There's got to be a better way, got to be a better way, got to be a better way. I'm going to tell you, there isn't a better way. My sister asked me this question years ago, like, what's the next big thing? I said, sis, you being better than everybody else out there is the next best thing. That's the next best thing. Be the best. And I just laughed because we had a little consultation. She was my assistant manager, and I was basically counseling her on her performance. And she's like, I don't know why you're so upset with me all the time. Like, there's so many people that are worse than me. And I was like, I think I know why we're not on the same page, sis. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm trying to compete with number one, and you're just happy not being at the bottom. So I think that's going to solve all your problems. Next thing you know, she's like, no one's ever said that to me. I was like, well, maybe that's why you're struggling all the time. Next thing you know, she got the highest paying job she'd ever had. She was a corporate trainer for USAA, and she couldn't believe, like, the only difference was her mindset. Strive for being number one. Everyone tries to make you feel bad for wanting to be the best. And my thought process is, who cares? This is your life, not theirs. Be the best you can be. That's the next big thing. Be the best. Strive, compete against the best. If you think Grant Cardone is the level you want to be, compete with him. I don't necessarily want to be. My years in the military, I really was competing with everybody. But that was what I set my mind for when I was in the military, to be the best. And then when I got in real estate, I was like, I want to be the best coach. I want to be the best trainer. And so hopefully a lot of people that work with me kind of see, yeah, you do it a little bit different than some people, but I understand now why you do it that way. Because I see things coming sometimes that other people are like, it's not that big a deal. Well, real estate can sell itself. And if you're a really likable person, sometimes that helps. But the way the market is going right now, that ain't going to cut it anymore. Being the most likable person ain't going to help you when you get in front of people and you're too nervous to get that signature. So again, how do we generate the leads to get the appointments? Make sure you practice your presentation so you can get the signatures and get more closings. And one of these ways of generating listing leads is foreclosures. But here's another landing page. So if you're wondering, like, what does all this require? Well, once you get your Listings to Leads account set up, if you haven't done all this, and I know a lot of people have it, they just haven't bothered to take the time to set it up. But again, this is the automation I'm talking about. And a lot of people may not realize it, but if you don't have that set up and you're not using it, you're falling behind on the automation. And I just want people to know, like, when you have a system like this, why would you not want to take full advantage of it? The cost on this, I think, is what fools people. They feel like if I'm only paying $60 a month and my other CRMs cost me $300, $400, $500, $600, I spent $1,000 on this coaching program, I should dedicate more time to my coaching program. I spent more time, more money on this, or this. And it's true. You pay attention to what you pay for. But here's the problem. You're not following a process. You haven't come up with your own A to Z process. And because you haven't, you're just fishing all the time. And what I'm trying to share with everybody here is an A to Z process. I want you to be thinking about running all these campaigns, because here's what some of these are going to look like. Like, the first thing you want to do is market yourself. So if you're trying to market yourself, well, this Instagram and Facebook ads, then Google ads, social media. e-flyer. This turns out to be, these print flyers turn out to be way more valuable than people think. You print out a few of these and you send them in the mail. There's e-flyers for the database. You can send them out via email. So you may do circle prospecting and do maybe 100 homes in one neighborhood that are close to the home that you're marketing. If you're doing an open house, you might want to add 100 homes to that as well. But then you can also do these postcards and door hangers. Now, this is probably for you to just send out on your own on a regular basis, because these are tools for you to get the word out. Again, this is a FSBO marketing package. Now, if you're looking at other landing pages, what does marketing look like for those? It's all pretty much the same. Every landing page is going to give you the same marketing tools. But once you go to that ad and it says market that landing page, you just go to that landing page and go to marketing tools, and it's going to basically let you market with these steps. Circle prospecting letters, circle prospecting scripts, postcards. I mean, all this stuff is already in here. You don't have to go out of your way to do anything extra. It's just follow the instructions. Like I said, if you don't have a plan, the reason why I like listening to leads is I can give you guidance. There's so much in here. Sometimes people get confused, but I'm giving you a roadmap, a 90-day roadmap. You count 90 days from today, you're going to be almost into listing season. And if you follow these steps and you've done enough for this, you got 90 days to make it work. I think it's make or break season, because I think by this time next year, everyone who's not working on listings is going to be shocked a little, but not a lot. I mean, there's going to be other stuff that happens, but I think listings is where you're going to make up the difference. And you want to get to the point where you are doing this. And then you got cash offer. I already mentioned that. Same thing, just follow the steps. And then you got to market yourself. Now, a lot of people don't realize, like, Listings to Leads has this in there also. You can literally go in and market yourself, just like we do with LPT. They already have this, but they do it digitally too. We don't have to just do it print or hard copy. So with that being said, you go to listings, go to where it says listings, and then you listing presentation. And once you go to listing presentation, it'll basically give you all the tools to market yourself. So it'll tell you have your pre-listing package. It'll have your information, your picture, your photos, whatever you put on there, property marketing steps to walk through. It's also going to tell you how to write it's going to write the Facebook and Instagram ads for you to get the word out. It does Google ads. Google ads are going to do well for you. They're going to cost you a lot more, but they're going to do way better. Then, hey, if you're not sure what to say on a video script, I'm telling you, the first step would probably be to market yourself. If I'm going to rearrange the order of how I put this in there, this is probably, I'm going to say market yourself first. And then there's a company, if you want to send stuff out, you want to print flyers, they already connect you to Express Copy. There's other companies you can do this with. If you're with First American, they have a print shop. It may be a little cheaper to upload it to First American and let them send the stuff out for you. But if you want to follow the company or follow the company or work with the company that Listings to Leads already has, it's probably the better choice. Otherwise, if you have other ways, of course, do that. Postcards and, of course, the landing page. So if you don't know what your landing page looks like, this is what your landing page looks like. But you're marketing yourself as a listing agent. You're getting the word out, just like the prospecting packs that we use in LPT. This is a way to do it digitally. And of course, you can reach 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people at a time. Now, I need to backtrack a little bit and talk about the list that we should be getting from, guess what? The title companies that we work with. So let me see if I skip that or not. Nope, I didn't skip it. I guess we just haven't gotten there yet. All right. So the main thing here, well, actually, I did skip it. So it's right here. You want to get your homeowner list, minimum 5 years equity. So if you go to Remind or RedX, you can get them there, but you can also go to, I use Valerie Wilshire with Independence Title, and she can get you a list of 3,000 names for $25. So when you have those 3,000 names, what you should be thinking about is, what if I do this every month? By the end of the year, I got 36,000 names of homeowners in a certain zip code, or you can start varying zip codes with 5 years of equity in their property. And you've been marketing to them all of the stuff that you have through email, through Facebook custom audiences, through potentially text messaging. So your marketing, again, this is a key word to this whole process. Market, 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 market. If you want to be successful in business, you have to realize you are not a real estate agent first. You are a marketer first. Your real estate stuff doesn't even matter. It's all about sales and marketing. I tell people they should reverse the words. It's marketing and sales. You won't have anything to sell if you're not marketing. So learn how to market yourself and you'll have all this stuff to offer. Now, marketing higher price new builds. That's one of the keys. It's the same exact concept through listings to leads. Again, if you're not sure what to do, listings leads has this for you. All you gotta do is load up the content. Just load it like you would the MLS. So what bothers most people is what I call learning curve. Oh, I got to learn something new. Well, just like I told my sister, you want to know the next big thing? It's being the best at whatever you're doing. That's the next big thing. You being better than everybody else at whatever's going on. And guess how many people hate learning curve? Pretty much everybody. So if you want to be in the top 1%, you got to be willing to do what the 99% aren't willing to do. And this is one of those things. Get over the learning curve and just make it happen. And then you'll start noticing that this system is not nearly as hard as if you had to figure this out on your own. It runs the ads for you, free report, et cetera, et cetera. And then this is what the landing page looks like for new construction. But you get to pick how many homes you load. And I promise you, this platform, the interesting part about this, if they're on Facebook and they click this link, Facebook already has their information if they're on Facebook. So it automatically takes the information, name, phone number, email that they have, and automatically sends it to you without them having to enter it. All they have to do is click the button that says consent to the information, and they're good to go. Now, that's the marketing landing pages. Build a strong referral network. I beat this up so many times. I'm not going to get into it again today, but you got to have something going out to your network on a regular basis. Remind your network, appreciation days, whatever it is you're doing. Every time you have past clients, you need to stay in their face. Bottom line, if I tell people this is the first one I send out to everyone, it's basically what I call hello world email or text message, but you want to get that out. I say record this as a script and send it out to people. And that's what Esmeralda did when she first came on board, set up a video like that. And that's all she did was basically make her version of the, hello world video. Now, this is the big one. And for anyone who's not sure about this, this is something I'm going to be offering to my team members that are wanting it. Obviously, it's going to cost quite a bit for anyone else, but I'm running weekly seller attraction webinars. Also home buying seminars, again, but they'll be more for new builds for people who are looking for a home, what we're going to call our move up program or downsizing. Why? Because I know move up and downsizing implies what? They have a home. So if it implies they have a home and I'm running a webinar that offers that, then of course they're going to have to decide when and where they're going to want to sell their home before they buy one. But that's the whole concept. These are ways to pick up more business. And if you keep yourself busy doing all these things, you got to get a topic, how to prepare your home for fast sale, 5 mistakes home sellers make, etc. Learn how to use Zoom, Webinar Jam, GoToWebinar. You can find FSBO leads. And I'll tell you, this is going to be our number one strategy for webinars is basically go find FSBOs and say, I'm going to offer you free training to do it yourself. Because it's really hard to get just the consumers to come out and identify themselves as home sellers. Well, guess what FSBOs have already done? Identified themselves as home sellers. So that's the difference. And then you deliver value on the presentation. Again, the same type of language that you use. Follow up after the webinar, 6 weeks. Like I said, it's a 21-day, 18 touch or 21 touch, 18 days. And then for every 10 attendees, you can expect 10 conversations at the webinar when the webinar closes or, closes from the webinar, 6 CMA requests and 1 to 2 listings if you practice your presentation. But that's pretty much everything there. As I stated, it's 90 days to limitless listings. Hopefully you guys can see why it's limitless. You will never run out of material. You will never run out of ways to do it. Just get good at one first and then start taking what you learned from the first one and applying it to the next one and the next one and the next one. But these are the 5 detailed steps and the 3 mistakes I want people to avoid. And you'll build a thriving real estate business. So hopefully everybody sees how this makes a big difference in your business. You can enjoy more predictable income, become the go-to agent in your market in just 90 days. But that's basically the game plan. Like I said, I'm eventually going to record videos to go through all the steps that I just showed you guys step step by step. So you basically have a tutorial to get you through the program. All right, so now we'll open it up for question and answer. I know it's got like 5 minutes, but of course, if we need to stay a little bit longer, we will. All right, so let's see. So I've tried to sign up with iBuyer and have not heard back from them. Any thoughts? I'll take a look and see if it's something that I haven't gotten on there. Will this be in the mastermind materials? At a certain point, yes. It depends on what portion, though. For the mastermind folks, a lot of this, yeah, some of this is already in there. So it's just a matter of, it's not in the same exact sequence and format, but a lot of it's already in there. All right, let me bring up as many people as I can get on the stage so we can just. All right. And if you're in the live stream, then just put your comments and questions on the chat. All right. So any questions? I see there's a few people on the stage, but if you can unmute and just fire away. Tanya, any questions for you?
No, I think this was really good information. It's definitely the time to get started on your listings if you want to be successful, when it's selling season.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the key to a lot of this is just understanding, like, times have changed. And as I think either Shay or Robert mentioned, it's probably Shay. I forgot which call I was on, but they basically said the people that are joining real estate right now don't know about our previous market. So in a year from now, if you're still talking about what happened, you're going to get passed by. So forget about all that and start moving forward. And to me, this is kind of the best start to do that. All right. But yeah, thanks, Tanya. Sherry, any questions, comments?
I don't have any questions, but I want to give a little update because since we're not doing that this week, but I had an amazing week this week. And part of it was I've been running the ads in listings to leads.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, one lead I got was off of a buyer, the one you just showed, the steps, the things you don't do wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Then I reran an ad, but paid for it on a house that I just think is adorable that I can't figure out why it hasn't sold. It's not my listing, but I shared it. I've had 8 leads so far on that one ad.
Yep.
And, will they pan out? I don't know. We'll see, but I'll nurture them along. But I've had a very busy week this week, and some of it is delving into that listings to leads and following your advice and going, just jump in there and see what happens. And so it's been really good.
Isn't that tool amazing?
It is amazing. And if you guys aren't using it, I'm telling you, there's scripts in there, there's flyers in there. It makes your job easy. So, like, check it out if y'all are not doing that.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Sherry. And that's really what it boils down to. Exactly what I'm saying. If the tools are here, and some of the things I mentioned that people are doing and not doing, the mistakes you're making, a lot of times people get hung up in the technology because they're not ready to do the presentations. I can tell you the people that use these tools and get the best benefit, they're already good at getting signatures. They're already good at getting those listing agreements signed. They're already good at getting the buyer agreement signed. So these tools actually work for them. Whereas a lot of people will get started on this and go, oh, it's too much. And I'm like, well, it may be too much, but at the same time, again, you got to be willing to do what the 99% aren't willing to do in order to be in the top 1%. All right, Lakeisha, any comments or questions for you?
Well, comment. Yeah, I agree with you, Sherry. I'm up in my game on listings to leads a lot. And it's crazy because I look back on there and I realized that I had like 15 leads just sitting there.
Oh.
And I'm sure I made myself one lead because I wanted to know what other people was getting, what the other leads were getting. And so I get updates from listens to leads. As a buyer, I'm getting those updates to my cell phone, in text messages. So, I mean, I haven't gotten anything from it yet, but I can see the follow-up is good.
Yep. Yep. And again,
it removes you from having to do so much.
Absolutely. And can you see how this 90-day plan for limitless listings will pan out over time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you said, most of that is in the content that you provided in our 52 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I just want to put it in a smaller structure as just a simple course. And I'll probably end up doing that for a lot of stuff in there. So I think I told everybody at the beginning, yeah, this is if you go week by week, it's like, taking one bite out of the elephant at a time, small steps. But after being with me for 20 weeks, you're probably going, holy crap, we've done a lot of work. This is called real estate. Like when I was in the military, I can promise you by the time I was doing 20 years at my 18th year, 17th year, and I'm commanding 800 people, I couldn't command 800 people when I first walked into the military. It would never happen. But I'm managing 800 people in one unit. Then I get set up with Red Horse Engineering, and now I'm managing 5 continents, global logistics, and I'm number 1 in the world in the Air Force. Someone's like, that's impossible. I'm like, okay, well, maybe, but it took 20 years. But guess what you have to do? Take a bite out of the elephant every single day. And 20 years later, you won't believe how much you can handle. But again, that's learning curve. And that's what I'm trying to share here. There's some of the stuff people are like, I'm shying away from it. But if this was a full-time job and you're 9 to 5 and your boss said, I need you to learn this stuff because in 2 years, I'm going to put you up for a promotion because you're going to be training the next level of people to come along. And then once you master that, they're going to move you up to the next level, Real estate works exactly the same way. It's just you have to do it. And if you understand that, you start realizing like, man, this Listings to Leads is a platform that I could actually train myself, train my team members. And again, if you're thinking like a leader and thinking, you know what, I can get to a place where I don't have to do so much work. If I want to start recruiting and bringing team members on, once I learn how to generate a ton of leads off this thing, I learn how to convert them, I can give them to my team members. This is where the leads come from. I can start doing that for everybody, but again, I got to have converters. That's the biggest thing. I'm not generating 80, 100 leads and then everybody's like, can you just help me generate my own? And it's like again, they're afraid to get in front of people and get those signatures. So it becomes an excuse. It becomes a new shiny object. So I don't want that to be the case. But no, I appreciate both of you guys' feedback. That's exactly the point of this. I want people to see like, yes, I can make it in smaller chunks and make it in a certain type of package and compartmentalize each section so that we have packages like this. But I'm doing this because we're getting ready for next year. And I want everyone who's part of this program to be able to see light at the end of the tunnel and be like, you know what, this is more detailed steps that I can follow instead of having to go back and dig through my 52 weeks and figure it out for myself. Here's basically, I'll send this out to everyone once I have it all nailed down, and then I'll give everybody access to the actual program. So now I might charge a little bit to my coaching members. Of course, my team members, as they close, I get paid more. So that's the reason why I don't charge them. But that's the benefit of being on the team. I think Bessie's up here. I'm not sure if she's able to unmute, but if she is, Bessie, any comments or questions? And if you're in the live stream, you can put your questions in the chat if you have any. Oh, there's Bessie. Okay. Unmute your mic. Oh, you're still muted. If you can unmute your mic. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having problems. So I'm on 2 things, but I don't have any questions.
No, okay. All right. Well, if there are no more questions or comments, and I don't see any other ones coming from the chat, I see we have a couple of people in the live stream, which is good. Hopefully everybody got something out of this, but I wanted to just switch it up today because I have been getting a lot of comments, questions, and feedback from a lot of different sources. Even Robert posted something yesterday or the day before. It's making it really clear that people are just kind of panicking on what's going on right now. I mean, just like Sherry said, we have tools to combat that. You just got to use them. And now that you see how much is available through listings to leads and what I'm going to set up for listings alone, a lot of this stuff is just going to make way more sense. And Lakeisha and I are going to be working together on doing webinars and virtual tours virtually. So it's going to be basically virtual open house / webinar. And we do home tours as part of that. And that's kind of the process that you saw here when I talk about running webinars. People are going to come join. They're going to watch the webinar. They're going to see a home tour. So if they're trying to think about whether they want to buy or sell a home, they'll get to do both of those. We'll get to do a little quick tour of some of the newest inventory out here, some of the higher end homes. They look really nice. They film well. Of course, models, new builds always do. And then from there, a webinar where they're basically learning how to buy a home or how to sell a home. And that's kind of the game plan going forward. And guess what? Over the next 3 to 6 months, if you've done everything you should do and you do it better than the top 5 or 10%, you're going to be in that top 5 or 10%. If you do it really well, you're going to be in the top 1%. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. I appreciate everybody showing up. And we will do it again next week, except we'll be back to our normal schedule. So if you see something here that you're motivated by, give it a shot. You know, get in that Listings to Leads account. If you don't have a Listings to Leads account, please reach out to me. A lot of my team members are getting it for $30 through one of my partner networks. And then the people that are paying for the program, they're getting it through an account that I set up for everybody. So if you don't have one, let me know. If you haven't logged into it, log into it, and we'll take it from there. All right. So until next week, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.